Jared?
You know what? I've had some time to think. Well, they've answered their questions, and I'm going to go back to a scene in Wendigo that we did at the very, second episode of the year. And I remember there was just such a long period of time between the pilot and Wendigo. It was from March, April till July, and there were so many questions in my head when I found that we were getting picked up. Like, what's going to happen? Where are we going to start? Like, how do we start? How do we finish? How do we continue this story that we started in the pilot with so many things going down? How do we keep the momentum going? And there was this one particular scene that Jensen and I did on stage where he's got Dad's journal. He's saying, this is what it's about. And Sam is saying, I got to find Dad. And I remember we had a huge day that day. We had like 8 or 9 pages of dialogue. And Jensen and I realized that we had to do this scene. We were like, oh, crap. Like, what? Like, let's go memorize it, my trailer. We sat down in my trailer. And there was an acting coach that I work with whenever I can named Cameron Thorpe there with us. And, he kind of pushed and prodded me a little bit. And I don't know what he did to Jensen. But we were...
I don't want to talk about it.
It was noisy.
Never again.
That's between y'all and the wall. But anyways, we ended up kind of getting the scene and putting something there. And I think it was one of the first times I ever felt like I was hopefully doing what Kripke wanted. Like I felt like I think this is what Eric was envisioning. Like I really felt. For some reason, there's one of those times when you finish a scene and you're like, wow, like, I don't know where that came from, but I don't know, whatever.
I remember seeing the dailies on that, too. We were just through the roof. It was incredible.
Bob?
I think my favorite scene is a really quiet scene, and it's at the end of the Faith episode. And that whole episode was really about, I think, very topical for today, about what's real faith. And Julie Benz comes in, has a scene with Jensen, and Jensen says to her, I'm not much for praying, but I'll pray for you. And she said, well, that's a miracle right there. And I thought that I thought it was really sweet. I thought it was incredibly well acted with both Julie and Jensen. And I thought that it probably, if people were listening, I think that probably was our finest moment to say something semi-political and be on the right side of that. I just hope it affected people the way it affected me.
I agree with all of those. All of those are incredible scenes. I would also add the scene when Dean first calls his father in home and tells him to come to Lawrence, and just the way that Jensen was able to try to put up those walls, but the walls kept breaking down, and that was amazing. But all those amazing scenes aside, everyone's given such classy answers. I have to say that when the dude stuck his hand in the disposal in home, and then the monkey starts clapping, and we had that shot beneath the sink, and you could actually see all the goo come out, and I said, and we shot it in dailies. I said, they'll never let us use that, and we used it. And it's more probably than any other scare sequence in the show. It's the one that people watch, and they can't even keep their eyes on the screen. And to me, that's sort of the fun of getting the effect out of the audience. So I'm going to say the garbage disposal scene in home.
It's great because that explains what Bob was talking about before with the 2 different
See?
approaches.
There you go.
Right. Okay, I want to thank you guys. You guys have been a great audience.
Can I say...
Before you go, don't go yet. I also want to thank... First of all, Eric's got something to say.
Well, I just wanted to say we have a lot of the people who work on Supernatural in the audience, and I want a round of applause for them for this unbelievable season. All of them have done such a... They've all murdered themselves to bring you this show, and we couldn't do it without any of them. So thank you to them.
And I also want to I want to thank you guys, all of you, for not just being here tonight, but also for the great work that you're doing. And you're obviously touching our chords. Thank you very much.
Thank you.